What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Commanders Uncovered. I'm your host, Debo. Episode 3 of Commanders Uncovered. This one is going to be fun because we get to talk about the draft. We get to talk about the players the Commanders just selected, how these guys are going to fit in, what the offense, defense, what it's going to look like with the new rookies in town. Very excited to bring you guys this episode. The Commanders really did a great job in the draft. I mean, you look at a lot of media outlets, a lot of people talking, you know, Commanders seem to be in those talks of teams that crushed the draft, that made a lot of great picks. Super excited to talk about the guys that are coming in and just how great of a job Adam Peters is doing. I cannot overstate how great of a job he is doing in his first few months here as the Commanders GM. It's honestly just commendable. Very excited for the future. Let's get right into it. NFL Draft episode 3. Roll the intro, baby. Let's go. All right, so I'm just going to start from the beginning of the Commanders draft to the end, go in order, all the Commanders draft picks. Obviously, the Commanders had the second overall pick in the draft, and with that pick, they took Jayden Daniels, quarterback at LSU, and I'm very excited. Quarterback of the future, the Commanders, Heisman Trophy winner last year. I have spoken about Jayden Daniels versus Drake May in the past. I did prefer Drake May as a prospect, but I'm excited having Jayden Daniels coming in, a new quarterback, a new face to lead this offense. And not only just Jayden Daniels, but I know there are going to be a lot of questions about the scheme and how Jayden Daniels is going to look in the scheme. How much is he going to run? There's concerns with durability, upright runner in college. A lot of clips of him taking big hits in college. Don't love to see that. Don't love to see that, especially considering the RG3 comparison has been tossed around a lot, and you see how RG3 his kind of career with Washington ends with the injuries, and Jayden Daniels. I pray that Kliff Kingsbury, Brian Johnson, and the rest of this offensive staff can scheme him in a way that is going to protect him, and they're going to teach him how to run at the next level, because it ain't college. These guys are looking to hit, and even with all the rules protecting the quarterback and such, Jayden Daniels has really got to learn to protect himself as well. Slide, go out of bounds when necessary, run with good pad level, get downhill, one cut runner. Looking at how Kliff Kingsbury worked with Kyler Murray in the past, I think there are some things that we can predict here with how Jayden Daniels is going to be as the helm of this offense with Kliff Kingsbury as the OC. So we're just going to take a quick look at some of the stuff Jayden Daniels did in the run game this past season at LSU, Heisman Trophy winning season. A lot of great stuff here and a lot of stuff that I could see translating to the next level. First of all, I just want to shout out Mark Bullock, posted this stuff to YouTube. Very cool. This is just a simple zone read here. Tight end's going to come in motion to bring this overhang back into the box. It's going to be a simple read of this defensive end. And this play really just shows you the game-breaking speed that Jayden Daniels possesses as a runner, and his ability to just get to the edge, man. Look, quick pull. There's no one there. You seal that corner, nobody is there. And just the speed he possesses to get to the edge there, turn the corner and hit the Jets down the sideline. It really is an X factor, especially at the next level. You see guys running and are successful. But man, just pulls it, very decisive, at the gates, extremely fast runner. If you get him in open space, man, he is going to create a lot of pressure with his speed and with his agility. And it's only going to be hard for NFL defenses to figure him out if he's running like that, hitting the edge down the sideline. This next play, I do not see Kliff Kingsbury kind of implementing this into the NFL. This is definitely more of a college style play with the QB counter out of empty. But again, just Jayden Daniels' quick processing ability as a runner, his agility. You're gonna have this left tackle pulling for the counter here. Kind of want to get up in this hole, but Jayden Daniels sees a hole here. Quick cut, very decisive. This is against Alabama as well. Getting up to the next level, just picking up extra yardage, running north-south. And I like that at the end there too. Right here, he could have went down on a slide, and I would very much like to see him slide at the next level. But, kind of going down, knowing that a big hit could be coming. It's another important part of his game that I really need to see implemented at the next level, and I really need to see them coach that into him, drill it into his head, get down, stay healthy, play the next play, and don't put your body at risk, man, because tall guy, slight stature, he could be prone to some injuries, but I really, really need him to just go down. Please be safe, Jayden, man. Run with agility. I know you run fast, you run hard, you are a north-south runner, but just go down, man. Slide when it's necessary, take the out of bounds when it's necessary, play the next play. A lot of this stuff you saw this past season with LSU with the QB counter stuff, and again, I don't see Kliff Kingsbury implementing this to the next level, but the decisiveness, you see the hole is not there. You one cut runner, bounce it back to the left side, and pick up a very positive play. Love that out of Jayden Daniels. The decision making is quick as a runner, not just as a passer, as a runner as well. And then this as well, I talk a lot about the scrambling ability of guys like Justin Fields and Lamar Jackson and their ability to just turn what looks like a negative play into a positive, into a huge positive just because of the scrambling ability here against Bama. Dallas Turner, I mean, one of the best edge rushers in the draft. Just a great rep, gets right around that left tackle. But Jayden Daniels, he's looking at his first read, sees Turner. He doesn't roll out or escape the pocket that way. He steps up in the pocket, escapes Turner that way. And then just the speed and agility to be able to pick up a lot of yardage here from the scramble is just huge. It's very huge to have at the next level. And then here is something that I could really, really see Kliff Kingsbury and Jayden Daniels cooking at the next level. Just a simple QB draw. A simple QB draw, especially down here in the red zone when, the defense is squeezed a little bit. You kind of see it kind of looks like a stacked box. 4 down linemen. This guy's threatening off the edge. 2 linebackers. You got man across the board. It's very condensed, the defense, right up in your face down here inside the 10. But allowing Jayden Daniels to, work in the QB draw game where he was so electric this past season in college. True 11 on 11 football is what I have learned over the years to call this when you run the quarterback. But true 11 on 11 football, you get Jayden Daniels downhill. You see it looks like it's going to be a bang-bang play here, meeting the whole 17 Jayden Daniels, but he does a great job using his vision, breaking the tackle, getting into the end zone there. That is something I could really see Jayden Daniels and Kliff Kingsbury having a lot of success on. Daniels, like I said, very, very good in college with quarterback draws, and it was something that Kliff Kingsbury used a lot with Kyler Murray in Arizona. So I am very, very excited to see that portion of Jayden Daniels. All right, and now just taking a quick look at Kliff Kingsbury, what he did with Kyler Murray in terms of the QB run game. This is just a counter read here. So left guard is going to pull, kick out the defensive end. Left tackle is going to pull up through the hole. It's going to be a read here. You could either give the running back to the edge, or Kyler Murray could pull it himself and run up that hole, which is what he's going to do here. A lot of it is very similar to what Jayden Daniels did in college, this kind of zone read-esque thing here, reading one defender, pulling the football, getting downhill, getting to the edge and using that speed. In that regard, I think it's going to be a very, very easy transition for Jayden Daniels in terms of how he is going to call plays for him, Kliff Kingsbury, and also how Jayden Daniels is going to read these things, because he's done a lot of it in college, and he especially did it a lot in college this past year. And then one more clip here of Kyler. This is just a zone read here. Right tackle is going to pull, create an extra edge here. Reading Hassan Reddick here coming off the edge. Not a lot of Jayden Daniels' game was out of this pistol. So I'm very interested to see how much they utilize this pistol with the running back behind Jayden Daniels in the shotgun, and how often they kind of run this type of stuff out of this look. You see two tight ends on the left side of the formation, but we're just reading Hassan Reddick here. And this is what I want to see Jayden Daniels be too. I mean, not a very clean look here. You see Hassan Reddick kind of not really crash, but he kind of runs into Fletcher Cox, and Fletcher Cox is also setting that edge, does a great job setting it. And Jayden Daniels, I just want to see him give the ball here. Kyler Murray does a great job. He doesn't, turn it into a bad play. He turns it into a positive by just giving the ball. When in doubt, give the ball. And James Conner falls forward. I am interested to see how much Kliff Kingsbury uses that pistol look and how much he truly runs out of it. Bottom line is, however, Kliff Kingsbury very happy to incorporate the quarterback into the run game. Having a guy as explosive as Jayden Daniels is a game changer. It can be a huge start for the defense. It will cause defenses to really respect him, respect the running game. Could open up the traditional running game as well. If you give a look where, you're reading the defensive end and the defensive end stays and you give, it could turn into a lot of positives for Brian Robinson and Austin Eckler. And certainly a lot of things that Kliff Kingsbury runs in the league with the quarterback run game is stuff that Jayden Daniels has definitely seen before in college. Running the football, being safe as a runner, scheming him in a way that he is going to be successful, put him in positions to succeed. Just allow him to play ball, man. That's all I really ask. And talking about Jayden Daniels, I'm excited to see how he is. We obviously know he can throw the ball downfield. He's accurate at throwing the ball downfield. We'll see how he is as an intermediate passer. We'll see how he is as a processor at the next level. But we know his running ability at the next level is going to be a true game changer, especially with Kliff Kingsbury at the helm. It's going to be awesome to watch. Very exciting. Second round pick number 36 overall, Washington, Johnny Newton, defensive tackle out of Illinois. A lot of people, including myself, had this guy as a first round grade going in the first round. He falls to the second round, maybe concerns about his foot injury. He played with a Jones fracture in his foot, and he is not ready for rookie mini camp. He was in a walking boot today. A lot of people think that Washington, they didn't need a defensive tackle. Why did they end up taking Johnny Newton? He was the best player available, honestly. And I mean, behind Jonathan Allen and Daron Payne, you don't really have much. You don't really have much. Fedarian Mathis really has not, made many plays. They need more help. They need more help. Another big part of this is Jonathan Allen's guaranteed money is gone. No more guaranteed money on his contract, which runs through the end of this season, if I'm not mistaken, 2025. So at the end of this season, I mean, they could move on from Jonathan Allen. I mean, he's aging. He's openly spoken out against losing in the past, and he's been a great player for us and a cornerstone for this franchise for however many years. But I could see that Washington moving on from him, especially with the Johnny Newton pick. And I'm expecting him to play early, man. I'm expecting him to play early. He was the reigning Big Ten Defensive Player of the Year. I mean, he does stuff like this where he just literally on film just looks like a freak, an athletic freak at the defensive tackle position. I mean, sheesh. Just toying with people out here. Look at a good zoomed in look here. He doesn't make the play, but I mean, geez, like some of this stuff just jumps out to you on film as an edge rusher coming around the edge, beating the right tackle, getting a sack. Yeah, I mean, expecting him to play early, I don't really think that that's very far fetched, considering his success in college and having more guys behind Jonathan Allen and behind Daron Payne. Johnny Newton fits kind of the Dan Quinn, profile of being a guy who is versatile, being a guy who can disrupt offenses inside. And I expect him to be a huge part of the rotation early on. I like this pick a lot. Best player available. Wasn't really a need, but Johnny Newton is a great player, Big Ten Defensive Player of the Year. So it's hard not to like him, and it's hard not to think that he's going to come in and compete right away and have a role in this rotational defensive line right away, right away. Next second round pick 50, Washington takes defensive back from Michigan, Mike Sainristil. RG3 has a lot of great things to say about the pick. Great young man of character, multi-dimensional athlete, played wide receiver, DB, punt returner. Michigan doesn't win a national championship without his ability or leadership. Listen, this guy is a dog. We heard Dan Quinn talk earlier in the offseason about, getting guys who are going to fly around and buy into his philosophy of flying around, running, tackling. This guy fits that mold, and he fits the Dan Quinn mold as a DB, as a nickelback. He was one of the best nickelbacks in the country this past year. Great playmaking ability on the ball, great tackler. Many times we saw him laying big hits on receivers, forcing fumbles as well. And this addresses a definite need. This guy is extremely physical. He's going to set the tone on defense for Washington. He's going to come in and compete right away at that nickel role. Adam Peters talked about him being in the star position, kind of at that nickelback role, where he exceeded in college. Quan Martin started in the slot towards the end of that season, but he also has versatility. He can play at safety. Listen, Sainristil, 7 interceptions in college. Washington needs players in the secondary who are not only going to be great players who can make plays on the ball, but guys who are tough, physical, and have that mentality of, flying around, hitting people. Mike Sainristil fits the mold. This is probably I'm with RG3 here. This is probably I don't know if it's my favorite pick that they made. It probably is. I'm going to say this is my favorite pick that the Commanders made in the draft this year. Mike Sainristil is going to be a baller at the next level, and he's going to buy right into what Dan Quinn wants to do on this defense. Slam dunk pick. Even though he's a Michigan man, whatever. You got to learn to like the people you hate in college. Ohio State. I'm a Penn State guy. Ohio State, Michigan. Could do without him in college, but if they come to the Commanders, it's a different story. So happy that the Commanders took Mike Sainristil. Great young man of character. Thank you, RG3. Let's go. Physical guy, physicality, playmaking ability, all on tape. Nickelback, huge need for the Commanders. Cornerback in general, huge need for the Commanders. So happy they got Mike Sainristil here in the second round. With the 53rd pick in the draft, still in round two, Washington's third second-round pick, Ben Sinnott, tight end out of Kansas State. Now, I mocked Jatavian Sanders to the Commanders in my episode 2 mock draft video for them. I think he was a little bit more of a traditional tight end receiving threat, but Ben Sinnott is a guy who is very, very versatile as a pass catcher, as a blocker. He has potential in both areas. I mean, you see here from PFF Washington, he was extremely effective in the red zone. And I talked a lot about Zach Ertz and how he could be effective in the red zone. Now you add another guy, Ben Sinnott, in the tight end room who can be equally as effective in the red zone. Best PFF grade in the country in the red zone, 9 receptions, 6 of them were for touchdowns. And I mean, listen, this guy's not only going to help as a tight end, 6'4", 250 pounds. He had a lot of great blocking reps from the fullback position, from the H-back position in college. He showed that he can really do that, and he can really be successful. The dude is a freak. I mean, look at his arms. They're huge. He's jacked. He's strong. This guy's very versatile as a tight end. Kliff Kingsbury, he likes using 2 tight end sets. He likes the 12 personnel, 2 receivers, 2 tight ends. You got 2 effective running backs who can benefit a lot from Ben Sinnott as a blocker in front of them. And listen, this guy should come right in right away and see regular playing time. I mean, Cole Turner is behind Zach Ertz right now. I don't think he's better than Ben Sinnott. And I think Sinnott is more versatile than him. He can show that he can block, he can catch passes. John Bates is on the team as well. He's more of a blocker himself. He doesn't really dabble that much in the pass catching department. Sinnott can do both. He's a bigger target for Jayden Daniels. and improving the run game, adding a player like this is always huge. So like this pick a lot for the Commanders. Ben Sinnott, welcome. Pick 67, third round pick for the Commanders. Brandon Coleman, offensive guard out of TCU. I'll touch on this later. I do want to make this a point right now, though. Brandon Coleman, relative athletic score of a 996. I mean, this guy just tested extremely well. And it was very much a theme for the Commanders. I'll touch on it later. Sorry, I'm getting excited. But I mean, Washington has kind of tried to address this offensive line room in the offseason, which I really like. I mean, I would have liked to see an offensive lineman earlier in the draft. I mean, I cannot hate on Johnny Newton. I cannot hate on Mike Sainristil. I cannot hate on Ben Sinnott. I can't hate on those picks. I mocked Patrick Paul to Washington in my episode 2 mock draft. I thought he would have been a really good fit who could have came in right away and started at tackle. Kingsley Suamataia was a guy that I really, really enjoyed. Coming out of BYU at the tackle position. I think he could have really benefited coming to a place like Washington where he could have, came in right away and competed. But I mean, Brandon Coleman, great testing, relative athletic score off the charts. Washington has addressed this position group in the offseason, which I mean, I can't complain about. Coleman, I think he's going to be a tackle. He played guard at TCU. He started games at both. You sign Tyler Biadasz, you sign Nick Allegretti. The immediate need is a tackle for the Commanders. I would have liked a more traditional tackle, but Brandon Coleman, I mean, this guy is a beast, tested extremely well. Charles Leno was cut. Washington does not really have a full-time replacement on the roster. They kind of really need Brandon Coleman to work out and be a guy who can come in and play right away. At some point, I think he's going to start this season. At some point, Cornelius Lucas is going to be a starter at tackle. Andrew Wiley struggled at the other tackle position last year. So, I mean, using a third-round pick on him, I think he's going to need to start at some point this season, and hopefully that is the case. We'll see. This is kind of a more wait-and-see pick for me. The relative athletic score, like I said, off the charts. Yeah, just want to see him succeed on the field. That's the main part of it, because this is a huge position of need. And Brandon Coleman, welcome. Next third-round pick for Washington was Luke McCaffrey, Christian McCaffrey's brother, wide receiver out of Rice. Again, tested very well. 9.44 relative athletic score. His agility grade is elite. 402 shuttle, 6'7" 3-cone, ran a 4.46. I mean, this guy is freakishly athletic. I mean, his brother is Christian McCaffrey. What more do we need to say? But seriously, I mean, depth at the wide receiver position is huge. It's huge. A lot of question marks about this receiver room, which last year was a little underwhelming. I mean, the quarterback play and the O-line did not help. And kind of the play calling didn't help either. Eric Bieniemy, I know I tweeted about that in the past, but it was very, very dysfunctional, the offense. And adding a depth piece at receiver is huge for Washington. You have Terry McLaurin, you have Jahan Dotson. Dotson really has not gotten to that level that the organization kind of thought that he would be at this point. He was a first-round pick. Luke McCaffrey, around 6'2", 6'1 and a half. He's a big guy. He's big and fast. And another important thing is Adam Peters was with the 49ers when they traded for Christian McCaffrey. He's going to have a chance here early on to, make some plays on the field. We'll see how he does. I'm happy with the pick. He's a talented kid, athletic, comes from a great family, great lineage. His father, his older brother. We'll see how he does. I'm happy. Welcome, Luke McCaffrey. With the 139th selection in the draft, 5th round pick, Washington takes Jordan Magee, linebacker out of Temple. Again, with the trend, athletic, relative athletic scores. Was the top linebacker in athleticism score in the entire draft. Washington, again, addressed the offensive line position. You address the linebackers. You sign Bobby Wagner. You sign Frankie Louvu. They have Jamin Davis as well. I think Magee is going to have to work to get on this roster, and I think right away what is huge. He's going to be a huge addition on special teams. Um, two-time captain at Temple, started for 3 seasons, led the team in tackles each of the past 2 years. I believe he led their team in tackles for loss last season. This guy is a freak athlete. He flies around the field. He's going to be very, very helpful on special teams, which I'm very excited to see. And yeah, I think Magee makes the roster. I seriously do think Magee makes the roster. He's too athletic, and he's too much of a workhorse to not. And being a workhorse, we know Dan Quinn loves those. And this guy, Dan Quinn's gonna like this guy a lot. The defensive staff's gonna like this guy a lot. He's gonna be a huge addition on special teams. I think Jordan Magee makes the roster, and for good reason. He's a workhorse. He's a guy who's battled his entire career, and happy to see him. Happy to see him here. And then the last 2 picks for the Commanders, safety Dominique Hampton and edge Javonte Jean-Baptiste. You kind of see them there at the bottom of the rookie list. Let's start with Dominique Hampton, 6'2", 215 pounds, safety out of Washington. A lot of young safeties on this Washington team. You add Jeremy Chin, who's a bit more of a veteran, Jeremy Reeves, who's a veteran on special teams. I think Jeremy Reeves is going to play a big role in the development of Dominique Hampton, especially on special teams as well. Hampton was named most outstanding special teams player at Washington in 2021, led the team in tackles this past season. Played a little bit of corner for the Huskies this past season as well. He's versatile. He's very good on special teams at 6'2", 215. I think he's going to make the roster and be a integral part on special teams. Get to learn from Jeremy Reeves, who was an All-Pro 2 seasons ago as a special teamer. So very nice to see him. And then Javonte Jean-Baptiste, New Jersey guy. Listen, I talked a little bit about it in episode 1. Dorrance Armstrong is the only Washington Commander who they signed in the offseason on the D-line who had a multi-year contract. Jean-Baptiste is going to have to fight for a roster spot, being a 7th-round pick. He spent 6 years in college football, first 5 at Ohio State. Last year he was at Notre Dame. 7th fastest 40 time among defensive ends at the combine. He ran a 4.66. He's going to have to fight for a roster spot, but I can't say I hate the pick. I mean, this guy is a veteran. He's been around, and more defensive line depth. Got a lot of guys on 1-year deals, so it's good to see another young guy come into the room. And just to close it off, I mean, I touched on it a little bit, but Washington had a trend of drafting guys who were very, very elite on the relative athletic score, very, very elite on this NFL Next Gen Stats athleticism score. Guys who are going to fly around on either side of the ball, be physical, very athletic. I think the Commanders did a great job in the draft. They addressed positions of need. Would have liked to see Washington address the O-line position a little earlier. Brandon Coleman is an elite athlete. I think he's going to, have to have success early on for that pick to really hit. That's kind of the pick early on in the top 100 with the most question marks. I mean, you know what Jayden Daniels brings to the table. You know what Ben Sinnott brings to the table. You know what Johnny Newton and Mike Sainristil brings to the table. Luke McCaffrey, we'll see. We'll see. Jordan Magee, I think he's going to bring a lot to the table on special teams. But huge trend here. Huge trend here of drafting athletes. 2 elite athletes, 3 very good athletes. Another tweet I had here. Starting to sense a trend. Mike Sainristil 8.45 in the relative athletic score. Ben Sinnott 9.73. Brandon Coleman 9.96. That's like one of the best graded offensive linemen in a relative athletic score, and probably since they started doing it. And obviously Luke McCaffrey as well. Second highest by any team in the NFL draft in terms of average athletic score. League high 6 players with a next gen stats athleticism score of 80 or higher. The new regime is targeting elite athletes, and I kind of think that echoes what Dan Quinn is saying about wanting elite athletes on both sides of the ball, guys who fly around, guys who are physical. It's just sensing a culture change. You can see it in the draft picks. You can see it in the interviews. You could see it in the press conferences. You could see it everywhere. The culture is changing. I'm very happy to see it. And yeah, I really like what the Commanders did in the draft. Well, folks, that is going to do it for episode 3, Commanders Uncovered. Thank you guys again for tuning in and watching. I really, really appreciate it. Thank you to the Undroppables for giving me this platform once again. Shout out to everyone that has been watching, following along. I really appreciate you guys showing some support. I've seen some people supporting in the comments on YouTube. I've seen other people support in other ways. But shout out to the Undroppables. They do a lot of great work. You guys should go check them out in terms of fantasy football. A lot of people covering other teams as well. So a lot of great people in this company, a lot of people doing great work. I'm happy to bring my little twist to it with the Washington Commanders. Thank you guys for watching again. I really, really appreciate all the support. I will see you next time. Peace.